Lamborghini Aventador LP780-4 Ultimae, and that is the last time I'm going to do an Italian accent throughout the course of this video, I promise. Remember to head over to PistonHeads.com after watching this video to research and buy your next car. Now, I was going to try and avoid mentioning the fact that this is the last unassisted, and that is the crucial thing, because there will be other Lamborghini V12s, it's just they will have electrical assistance. But this is the last of the pure, naturally aspirated, unassisted Lamborghini V12. And I wasn't going to mention that because you know that, I know that, your Auntie Doris knows that, and she doesn't really give two hoots about V12s. The fact is, if you translate Ultimae into English, it means last, so it is a bit of an elephanty thing in the room. Right, so now that elephant thing has been dealt with, let's carry on to talk about what we all want to know, is how special this Lamborghini Aventador is. And the answer is very special, because all Lamborghini Aventadors are special. They are an event, that's the whole point. But this one has had the V12 stoked up to 780 horsepower. Yep, you did hear that right. That's nearly 800 horsepower, which is 10 horsepower more than the still rather lunatic Lamborghini Aventador SVJ. And underneath all that is a serving of 531 pounds-foot of torque. 0 to 60 takes a blink and what the fuck? 2.8 seconds. And 0 to 124, that's ticked off in boom! Or 8.7 seconds in old money. And it will keep on going until 221 miles an hour, at which point you will be arrested. But those are just numbers, and what I really want to try and convey about this car is actually how fast it is from the driving seat. And the only words I can think to do that are things like ferocious and brutal and violent and crackpot psycho, because it's got a sort of split personality. At low revs, you've got this phase, I call it phase one, where it's sort of, say 2000 RPM, you put your foot down and it accelerates in a torquey but nonchalant sort of way. Oh, you know, I can't really be bothered with this stuff. Then it gets to 4000, that's phase two, where it starts to get a bit more interested. And then, at just before 7000 RPM, that's when the thing just lights up and woofs around to 8500 RPM, which is the red line. And it's just stupefyingly fast. As you may have guessed, we're in the fabulous Brecon Beacons, and before getting here I thought the big old Aventador would feel a bit out of sorts on these tight, twisting, narrow roads. But you know what? It isn't. It's a relatively weighty thing, sure, at 1550 kilograms dry, but it's one of those cars that just shrinks around you. So easy to place, with beautifully talkative hydraulic steering that makes you aware of every surface change and bump beneath you without going too far and providing kickback over the ridges. You feel dialed into every movement, with the weight building progressively and every extra degree of steering input you add translating exactly to the rate of turn you expected. The steering really is one of the standout features of the car for me. The suspension is pushrod activated dampers front and rear, which in itself is a cool thing because it adds a bit of race car pizzazz, but it also translates to a sublime ride. Not only is it ridiculously comfortable for a car that's so stiff with so little suspension travel, but it also makes the car so stable, so even in the softer setting, the way it rises and sinks back down again over crests and through compressions is just effortless. It's got ridiculous amounts of traction and loads of grip thanks to huge Pirelli P0s that are 355 section wide at the rear. And this means it also stops like you've hit something. But because the pedal setup is so well judged, you can also modulate the brakes really easily too. One thing that people have always moaned about with the Aventador is the gearbox though, which is the old sort of automated manual single clutch type thing, which, you know, I'll be honest with you, of course dual clutch is way better, but it's actually really fast changing if you put it into Corsa mode. But the problem then is It's so brutal, like bang, bang, bang. I mean, they talk about the changes taking 50 milliseconds, but it's the way it thumps you and it upsets the car. So actually I found that if you run it in the sport mode, so it's not quite as brutal as Corsa, slightly slower changes, a bit softer, it just manages to torque through the gearbox that bit better so it doesn't upset the car. I really love this car, and I know that's a strong statement, yet even as the words come out my mouth they feel like the definition of understatement. But then I think it's a £400,000 car, or £450,000 if, like this one, you've got a few extras, and that's just crazy money. How many more worthy things could you spend that sort of dough on other than just a car? But then this isn't just a car, is it? At this point I would normally say a 911 GT3 is all anyone ever needs. And most of the time that's true if you're after a sports car, but after driving the Ultimae around, I can't say it's true this time, because if my lottery numbers came up, you know what, I actually think I would. Why is that? Why would I spend that money on this car? And I tell you, it's because it does all the pantomime and the preposterousness of a Lamborghini, but it's also one of the truly great driver's cars. It feels beautifully engineered and finessed and rewarding. Most surprisingly though, this 800 horsepower supercar feels actually usable on the road, because it doesn't have instant torque like the new breed of electrically assisted and turbocharged supercars, which are all doing 150 miles an hour within the first 5 seconds of full throttle. And that's why this car is so special. And that's why it's also so sad that when all these Ultimaes are sold, the Aventador will be gone. And with it, some automotive magic will be gone for good as well. I hope you've enjoyed watching this PistonHeads video. If you have, give it a like, but please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for all our latest videos. And also tell us what you think about the Lamborghini Aventador Ultimae in the comments below.